In October of 1997, a volunteer firefighter named Thomas E., then 34 years old, reported an encounter while driving along a remote stretch of road near the Blue Ridge Mountains in North Carolina. His statement was later collected by a regional paranormal research group and corroborated by a second responder on duty that night. Thomas had been dispatched just after midnight to check on a reported brush fire that had abruptly stopped transmitting heat signatures. When he arrived, there was no fire, only scorched ground in a circular pattern, as if something had burned downward instead of spreading outward. As he exited his truck, he smelled sulfur. Not smoke, sulfur. That's when he heard the breathing. He described it as slow, wet, and deliberate, coming from the tree line about 30 yards away. He initially assumed it was a large animal, possibly a bear, but what emerged was unlike anything he'd seen. A dog-shaped figure, easily the size of a calf, stepped into the moonlight. Its fur was pitch black, not reflecting light the way normal fur does. Thomas stated that it seemed to absorb the light around it, leaving a darker silhouette than the surrounding forest. The eyes were wrong, not reflective like an animal's, not glowing like a deer's. They were deep red, steady, and intelligent. The creature did not growl. It did not bark. It simply stared at him. Thomas said the temperature dropped suddenly, enough that his breath fogged. His radio began to hiss with static, and then, according to the log, the battery died instantly, despite being fully charged minutes earlier. The hellhound took one step forward. With that step, Thomas felt what he later described as pure, animal terror mixed with the certainty that this thing did not belong in our world. He reported an overwhelming sense that if it reached him, something worse than death would happen, something permanent. Then it opened its mouth. No sound came out, but the ground beneath it cracked slightly, and the scorched earth behind it began to smoke again. The smell of sulfur intensified. At that moment, Thomas's truck headlights flickered back on by themselves. The creature recoiled. It turned, not ran, not lunged, but folded into the shadows, as if darkness itself swallowed it. The forest went silent again. Backup arrived 6 minutes later to find Thomas sitting on the ground, pale, shaking, unable to speak. The scorched circle was still there. The soil tested abnormally dry and chemically altered, though no accelerants were found. Thomas resigned from the fire department 3 weeks later. He refused interviews after that. But according to friends, he never drove that road again. And every October, he boarded up his windows at night, insisting he could hear heavy breathing outside his house, always just beyond the reach of the porch light. No animal tracks were ever found, only deep, burned impressions shaped like paws, but far too large to belong to any known species.